What's up, my fellow YouTubers? So I figured I would do some like movie reviews of some of my favorite movies and why. And I think one of them that really sticks out is Falling Down with Michael Douglas. And I think they picked the definitely picked the perfect person for it. And like they, there's nobody that could ever replace Michael Douglas in the movie itself. Like I couldn't picture anybody else playing it but Michael Douglas. And they even said behind the scenes that there was a lady that suggested the haircut be different than his regular haircut, and that made all the difference, which is true. So if nobody's ever saw it, it's just about a guy that's got some like military experience. He just got laid off, and he's a rich guy. He's from the like rich part of town, but he's stuck in an area where like it's like gangland territory, and since he just got laid off, he's just sick of everybody. Sick of everybody just being a dick, and he just decides to just he's stuck in traffic. He just decides to just get out of his car and say, "I'm going home." And his ambition is he broke up with his wife, and he wants to. I don't think he wants custody of his daughter, but he wants to see his daughter, and the wife is like trying to stay away from him because he's got a bad temper. And his mission, like his ambition in the movie, is to go back to his wife and kid. But to do that, he has to walk there because he just gets stuck in traffic. It says, "I'm going home." Now on the way, here's this rich guy stuck in like gangland territory. He's encountering people that he normally wouldn't encounter in the real world, and that's what makes the movie interesting. Is that like it's so true. Quite often, like if you're like in the rich part of town, and you're a rich guy, you really don't interact with bums, or you don't go into convenience stores, or you don't. Maybe you do go into fast food restaurants, but like for the most part, they don't blend in. And they even said at some point, "What's a rich guy from Santa Barbara doing in gangland?" Right? But what sticks out for me is that a lot of the situations that he gets in are situations that we've had before. You go into a convenience store and you want to break the one for 4 quarters, right? And the guy has tons of quarters in the movie. That's what makes it funny. And what else makes it funny is the guy. It's a Korean convenience store, and the guy that plays it is Filipino. And I think he was about Bruce Lee's age, because I think he was in Rapid Fire, and he actually said to Brandon Lee in the movie, "I knew your father." In the movie, he said it, but it was metaphorically, for he really did know Bruce Lee in real life, I think. And he's Filipino, but he's playing a Korean guy, which makes the movie just hilarious. I think there was probably times in the movie itself where they probably all the characters just broke down behind the scenes and started laughing. You know what I mean? Because it's like a dark comedy, but it hits the nail on the head with certain situations. Like he just wants 4 quarters for $1, and the guy goes, "No, you gotta buy something to break the one." Okay, then you buy something, and it's not enough to break the one for what you need, right? And so he starts flipping out, and realistically, that doesn't happen. But like, I think the stuff that he does is stuff that you think about doing in your head, but you're not really gonna do it in real life. And then he goes to, I think one of my favorite parts is the Mexican gang. He's just minding his own business, looking through ads, looking to after he destroys the fucking store. He wants a soda just to sit down for like 5 minutes and look through the ads, see what jobs there are out there. And all of a sudden, this Mexican gang, these two Mexican guys go, "What you doing, Mister?" He's like, "Nothing. I'm just sitting here." "Yes, you are. You're trespassing on private property." And you can look this up on YouTube. Look up the different scenes. It's on YouTube. But there's this graffiti littered all over the wall, and that's how in reality gangs write. They write their territory. And Michael Douglas says all that, and they go, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, maybe if you wrote it in fucking English, I could fucking understand it." And they're like, "I'm not laughing. I'm not either," right? And so he tries to calm them down, and I don't want to get into any spoilers, but like it's one of my favorite scenes and one of my favorite parts that it ends up with like he's like, "Oh, you want my briefcase? Here you go, motherfucker," with a bat, and he's like, "Where you going? You forget your briefcase?" And I think that was in the trailer. And See, now me doing movie reviews, I think it's safe to just do the review, show the image. Obviously, I'm not gonna play it. You know, you can't play it and then on YouTube at the same time, but you can show the image. So I'm just talking about it, which I think is safe. But anyways, I think they even have the trailer, which I probably couldn't show anyways, but you could look it up on YouTube if you haven't seen it. There's actually a lot of people that I've run into that say that they've never seen this. So then after that, you know, he goes. Now I've worked fast food. I've worked at Burger King and McDonald's, and it's true. Like at 10:30, everybody starts shifting from breakfast to lunch. And he's like, I want breakfast, and they're like, oh, we stopped serving breakfast at 11:30, and it's 11:35. Well, you get there 5 minutes before that, and they were giving him a hard time. So he gets a little extreme, obviously, but he just makes his point that, you know, I've been there. Like I've actually mixed my breakfast and lunch together, and the lady working with me said, you can't do that. And I said, well, I just did, you know, but I'm working at Burger King, so I could do that. I would put the BK broiler in with the hash browns from the breakfast, and but then by the end of that, he says, you know, look at the picture. It's really fresh, right? Now look at this sorry burger, and that is so true. Anybody that's ever eaten fast food, you could see that the picture that you see up there is nothing like the burger that you get with the stuff, and I can attest to that because I've actually worked at both places. And since I've worked there, I haven't eaten at McDonald's or Burger King for a while. It's because, you know, now that I own a house, it's cheaper to buy groceries, you know. But I miss going into Burger King. Maybe I'll do that. Arby's for me is my favorite, but Burger King is still good. McDonald's is fried though. It's when I see them on Facebook, I laugh. I troll. I do, but their food is not good for you. If you ever looked at the movie Super Size Me. I don't know how accurate that is, you know, that you could eat that within 30 days and get that sick. I doubt it. I think they over-exaggerated it, but at the same time, it's kind of, there's a lot of truth to it about people that overeat, and it all comes from shit like that, you know. I sparingly eat at McDonald's, but Burger King and Arby's are two of my favorites. But basically the whole point, it's kind of like a political thing. It's very political, I guess, you know, the whole movie. I think even my aunt shut it off because she said it was too political, but I think any comedian has politics in their comedy, right? It's just a different set of politics. This is more like a, I wouldn't say right-wing, but like more of the white guy, right-wing political view, or, you know, rich white dude from California interacting with gangland people. But what's cool is, like, this movie is timeless. You could not do a movie like that nowadays because you don't need quarters for the most part because everybody has a cell phone. So why would you need to break a one for quarters when you have a cell phone, right? You couldn't do that movie nowadays. Same with a lot of other stuff that they did that's outdated. But it'll always be a timeless classic because, like, there's one part where the homeless guy is bugging up for money, and he goes, yeah, why don't you get a job, right? But what's ironic about, what I really like about it, a deep point of view, is that, like, in the Bible, you know, you get the rich guy, right, which would be him in the movie, and the poor guy begging for food, right? And the rich guy says, screw you, right? I'm not giving you any food. And then, obviously, you know, they die. And the homeless guy was named Lazarus, same name as the guy that Jesus resurrected later on. But the whole point was, because the rich guy never gave to the poor guy, both of them ended up in different places, right? The rich guy ended up in hell, and the poor guy was in heaven. See, and it's just a message like, okay, in this life, yeah, you can treat people like that poorly, but in the next life, things are going to change. That's the message, right? So in other words, you read the story, and oh my God, hey, I could give to the homeless guy. Why not give it to him? Well, in this movie, it's a twist. He gets approached by a homeless guy just being a total dick, and he catches him in every friggin' lie possible. You know, the guy goes, that's a hell of a way to treat a vet. And Michael Douglas goes, you know, you're an animal doctor? You know, he goes, no, a vet. I was in the Army. He goes, what were you, a drummer boy? You must have been 10 years old. He goes, oh, the golf. I meant to say the golf. And that's what makes the movies funny. But what the kicker is, okay, he wants food, right? He says he hasn't eaten in 3 days and he's eating a sandwich. He goes, well, besides this, right? So he's carrying two briefcases, two bags, right? And the bum's like, what's in those bags? I can eat for a week with those bags. And Michael Douglas is like, fine. And this is a spoiler alert. If you're worried about getting spoiled, just stop it right now. But if you're not, continue, right? So he ends up giving him the briefcase, one of his briefcases, and says, you're right, here, I don't need it anymore. And the bum's like, ooh, really? Now, the whole movie, he's protecting the briefcase from the gangland guys. And so you figure something big's in the briefcase. So the bum finally opens it. And by then, Michael Douglas is traveling way far away. And all that's in the briefcase is food. There's a sandwich and an apple and I think something else. And the bum's like, son of a bitch. He throws the apple at him and Michael Douglas kicks the apple. But it's funny. He does give the homeless guy food. But here's the real world, okay? Here's where the Bible kind of like doesn't capture everything in the real world. The bum doesn't just want food, right? I've actually given bums sandwiches, and they said, keep your sandwich. What do they want? They wanted money. He was greedy, right? He was trying to act like he was homeless, couldn't get a job when he could, and he wanted a shit ton of money. That's why everybody was bugging him, right? Because they thought he had money. And all he had was a sandwich and an apple, right? And that's the kicker of the thing. He did give the homeless guy food, unlike the guy in the Bible, right? And the homeless guy hated it, right? He wanted the money. That's what makes the movie kind of timeless. And no spoilers about what happens at the end, but I guess you can kind of figure that out. But the whole movie is about him getting into these political situations, funny situations, and it's dark humor. He does things that your normal person doesn't do, but probably thinks in their head of doing. So he's kind of like a real life Terminator, only more of a military guy than a cyborg futuristic guy. But let me know in the comments if you've seen it, what you think of it, and what your favorite movie is and why. This is one of my top 5. I've got tons of other movies, but I figured I'd do a blog on this one. All right. Hope you all have a good weekend. Peace out, my fellow YouTubers.